Hey everybody, I hope you're ready for the stupidest barrage of brain rot you'll ever see for at least the remainder of the year, because oh boy, this one is truly special. We'll be taking a good look at a presentation for game developers called Decolonizing Cozy Games.
What?
Yes, you heard that correctly. Decolonizing Cozy Games. Oh my god, this is gonna be a good one. The level of schizo in this is breathtaking. But before we dive into it, I think I should give some context first for what we're gonna be seeing, in case there's viewers out there who are not familiar with Sweet Baby Inc. and much of the idiocy that goes down at GDC, the Game Developers Conference. Because for me, I'm already all clued in on this, but there's still some people out there who keep lying to you guys about what they really are and what they really do, which honestly is just something that keeps getting more and more interesting the more they progress with their craziness. Because we've already hit the point where the truth is undeniable, it's out in the open, but these morons will still pretend like nothing is happening. Some highlights from the last 12 months on my channel include when I made a video on the Act-Man nearly a year ago now, where I talked about this kind of stuff because he never acknowledged it. Oh, he would mock channels and people who complain about it, but to this day, he still hasn't actually argued any of it honestly. He acknowledged a part of it for one day, then he got cooked by memology on Twitter, and suddenly his memory reset. And among some other morons that I've called out on this, there was also the Fighting Cowboy. If you'll remember, this guy crashed out big time earlier this year, straight up saying that the kind of shit that we're going to be covering today does not exist at all. It's all being made up by channels like mine. Apparently, I have the Mind Stone or something, and every time that you guys click on a video of mine, you are wrapped up under my spell. I wish that was true. At least then I could compel you all to like the video so the algorithm doesn't bury it.
Like, this isn't new. It's not some secret agenda that people are pushing out there.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups, and if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
Oh well, it is what it is. I also covered this especially disgusting video from People Make Games, where they too denied the existence of activists in the games industry and actually went a step further into saying that the industry is actually dominated by the fash. I think you guys know precisely what that means. I think he used that word as slang to avoid YouTube's filters. So basically, this guy is so out of it that he doesn't just deny reality, he tries to sell you a completely opposite one. And besides these content creators, there's also the official games media, who have been running the fence for Sweet Baby Inc. and other groups like it since the very beginning. So I'd say a refresher on who they are and on why all of these lies are worth nothing is definitely warranted. So let's get in there. So if you were to trust what the games media says, then here you go guys, Sweet Baby Inc., and of course this also goes for the dozens, if not hundreds of other companies like it, funded by the same shady sources, are just a sweet, innocent little narrative consultant studio who merely exist to help big studios write better stories and deeper characters. The reality, of course, is that it's actually a cabal of activists who hate the games industry. They want to burn it to the ground, by their own words, because in their mind, there's a status quo that must be broken. That status quo is everything that you enjoy. Cool characters, gritty stories, satisfying action, empowered protagonists, etc., but above all, fiction and escapism. They believe the games industry is nothing more than a vessel for their ideology, and they will force themselves onto the many corners of the industry to push it if they have to. They're also parasites. Everything that they produce is unappealing garbage that gamers don't want to get their hands on, and it goes so much deeper than this actually, and we'll be getting into that in a second. Naturally, if you make terrible content that people don't want to play, you're never going to be able to turn a profit, and most importantly for them, you'll never be able to have that mainstream reach that you need to push an ideology. So, like parasites, they latch themselves onto hosts in the AAA space. This is why they were involved with Spider-Man, Wolverine, and God of War Ragnarok from the AAA giants that are PlayStation, among others over at the Xbox division. Among other big releases outside of that are games like Alan Wake 2, for example. It's that obvious that it wasn't because the creators of Alan Wake or God of War or the first Spider-Man game, so on and so forth, needed a gaggle of retards to come and help them write a better story or write better characters. I mean, who the f are these people? They're nobodies. They've never created anything of worth. Their curriculums are about as useful as a roll of toilet paper. Actually, not even that much, because in order to, toilet paper needs to have a certain texture in order to get the job done. Otherwise it's uncomfortable, doesn't clean well, like, trust me, if there's not a lot in this world that I know about, but I know about this, I've got experience. So anyway, it's not like when companies hire freelance writers to come and spruce up their stories, like for example with Chris Avallone, one of the writers involved in the best Fallout games and the writer of the Fallout Bible. This is what you call proper narrative consulting. You need a good-ass writer to come and do what your team just can't, you hire one of these guys. But these clowns? I mean, just look at them, just look at the content that they make. There is no easier psyop to spot than this one right here. No matter how much their projects fail, they're still here, their heads are still well above water, they're still working at high places in the industry. It's like nothing happened. And it's even more hilarious when taking into account that it's the games industry. I mean, this is one of the riskiest businesses there are, one of the most cutthroat industries out there when it comes to this kind of thing, where failure must be avoided at all costs because it's so heavy when it happens. I mean, you look around, look at all the studios that have had to go through layoffs, look at all the projects that have gotten cancelled because of games underperforming. I'm not even talking about flops right now, I'm talking about underperforming, never mind the flops. The flops are a death sentence in this industry. Well, for everyone except these activists. Like I said, they still keep their heads above water no matter what. Ain't it curious how that happens? Yeah, no, not really. It's not curious at all, it's actually pretty goddamn obvious. They're just parasites, funded externally, and they latch themselves on through a complicated mishmash of governmental crap. But to put it as shortly as I can, when a progressive narrative consultant like SPI was involved with a game, it gave the company a better ESG score. ESG standing for Environmental, Social, and Governance, a system built for ranking companies in a sort of a good boy scale. The more of a good boy you are, the better are your chances at grants and other forms of financial rewards. And if you don't play ball, then you get bad boy points, and bad boy points have the opposite effect.
What we're doing internally is if you don't achieve these levels of impact, your compensation could be impacted, okay?
We're doing the same thing.
And so it's just, you have to force behaviors.
And so the stage was set for them to be able to influence the mainstream market with their unappealing ideological shit that did nothing but damage. Seriously, you can go back to these games, and even if they are games that you ultimately enjoyed, there will be issues with the writing or cringe sticking out that are directly attributed to them. And at the end of the day, the level at which a game would be impacted is with how much of their influence made it into the final product. I won't go into specific examples here so as to not drag the video out too much, but if it is something that you'd be interested in me covering game by game, I'm willing to do it in the future. They also didn't just pop up and get their jobs from the source. They forced themselves onto them. Don't take my word for it, take it from the source.
If you're a creative working in AAA, which I did for many, many years, put this stuff up to your higher-ups, and if they don't see the value in what you're asking for when you ask for consultants, when you ask for research, go have a coffee with your marketing team and just terrify them with the possibility of what's going to happen if they don't give you what you want.
And if I can't sell them on, hey, don't do that, I can instill fear by suggesting that once it gets past us, someone else will take them down for this.
Recently I made a video about the cancel culture, and yeah, this counts too. Leveraging the power of the cancel culture in order to put the fear of they, them and major studio staff so that they would let them in through the door to start f***ing with their content by injecting the cornerstones of their ideology into everything, even the genres and types of games where they were antithetical, like what happened with Miles Morales in Spider-Man 2, for example, where all of the development that character had over the previous games, especially the first one, were thrown into the garbage so that it could serve as a puppet for the message. And there's so much more out there than just this. I mean, whenever they obsess about their ideology, whenever they want to crank that shit up, they will bulldoze everything in its path. And you'll see just how ridiculous things get when we get into this whole decolonization thing with cozy games. So yeah, everything the mainstream media said about these clowns, blatant lies to cover for them, because of course they would. Activists have been in games media for far longer. So when they saw that little parasite friends actually make it into the studios to be able to make a change from the inside, they wasted no time running smear campaigns against anyone who dared to criticize them. This stuff runs much deeper, by the way. I'm cutting it here, but I'm recommending you guys check out the channel Gothic Therapy, headed by Master of the TDS and his wife Writing Raven. They are a thorn on Sweet Baby Inc.'s side because they dive deep looking into them and their shit. They find and listen through their cringy ass panels and talks, and then they expose them. Or, well, they let them fully expose themselves while they just listen and react, because boy oh boy, these activists love to talk and teach other would-be activists inside of these studios on how best to push their collective agendas. The thing is though that they do it while hiding, and that's why sometimes it's difficult to track this information down, because they are little rats, you know, little snakes. They know that what they're doing is bad, they know that what they're doing is unpopular, but they're fucking doing it anyway. And often the way to get access to these things is either by someone from the inside leaking it out, which is not easy, or having to pay a lot of money in order to be able to listen to these talks from the GDC panels and everything. Like, there's actually a paywall for people to be able to listen to this crap. It's something interesting in various layers. Like, on one hand, it's like, who the fuck would pay for this garbage? But on the other hand, it's also a good thing for them because it keeps all of that garbage from hitting the mainstream so easily. Because, you know, if it was public, everybody would have access to this shit. But on the other, it's also stifling their movement because they're broke.
You're broke! You're f***ing poor!
So if you're a Woking, you ain't got no goddamn money, you're struggling, and then you want to listen to some, you know, to the echo chamber cabal, and they're like, hey, that'll be a few $100, by the way. It's like the modern audience is already struggling. They're already not buying games, they're not even buying their own games made for them, you know, games like the one that I talked about a few months ago. God damn it, brother, come on, brain, come on! Blood Echoes, Moon and Shadow or some shit. Oh my god, how the fuck am I freaking... I remember the characters, I remember the cringe, but oh, there we go. Bloomin' Rage. Lost Records, Bloomin' Rage. There we go. God damn. Like, they got no money to buy their own games made for them for like $30. Now they gotta pay like $400 to listen to one of these talks? Jesus. But anyway, let's move on. There will be a link to the channel Gothic Therapy in the description of this video. Make sure to check them out, they are amazing at what they do. It's actually funny to see the excess media and random assholes online, some of which are game developers, by the way, like for example Mary Kenny, who is now working at CD Projekt Red as a senior writer. Rest in peace to the Witcher and Cyberpunk franchises, by the way. Basically coming out and trying to defend SPI, spreading the same disinformation, while Gothic Therapy has clips straight from the sources themselves debunking those cover-ups. Yeah, fellas, you know. Anyway, that's enough of an introduction and context. Let's go for the main course now. This time around, Sweet Baby activists are targeting the cozy genre, which is something that is actually amazing to me. It's funny, but it's also a new low that I wasn't even prepared for them to reach. You see, because over time, when making these videos, I am usually a pretty understanding kind of guy.
Are you sure about that?
I mean, okay, I'm not gonna lie, the more I see, the more extreme things get, even outside of gaming. I will admit, sometimes it's a bit harder to avoid that black pill, and so I burst out a bit here and there, but generally, I do try to be understanding and reasonable. And so one of my takes over time is that developers like these, who work in narrative consulting studios like this, have the right to do their own thing in the games industry. The right to make their own games without being bothered, so long as this activism ceases, where they force themselves into spaces that they don't belong in order to change things in them from the inside. Change things that the very own audiences of the spaces they're in do not want, such as what they've been doing in the AAA space for years now. Basically, just let them get their own money together, make their own games, sell them, and then either prosper or die out by the quality of their own work. And so of course I always thought that the cozy game universe was perfect for them, because while I think it's obvious why, there's loads of non-games all over the place. It's usually a bunch of soft pastel colored stuff with simple feel-good stories, zero difficulty, and just made for people to unwind with at the end of the day, including myself with some of them. Like, I got nothing against the genre at all, I enjoy some games in it.
Why are you gay?
It's just another genre in this huge, wide, expansive games industry. But never mind that, these people are such parasites. They are so annoying, so unfitting, so antithetical to the hobby itself in general that they can't even do that. So now they're targeting this very genre to inject even crazier and far more heightened versions of their ideological grift into it. They have to just come in and, as usual, look at it and do what activists do, which is to make stuff up and fuck everything up. They gotta look at the cozy genre, call it white supremacist coded, present its basic mechanical roots as problematic because, colonialism, and now try to force change into it by hosting panels and presentations to influence the developers and studios that produce content for it, just as they did with the AAA space. Let's have a look at some of this brain rot. Decolonizing cozy games. Brother, decolonize these nuts, man. Jesus, I haven't even started yet and I'm already struggling. Okay, let's get serious. Decolonizing Cozy Games by Tristan J. Tarwater. They, them. Nice pronoun display, by the way. Right off the get-go, absolutely love that. Definitely adds to the aesthetic of the bullshit that we're about to read.
Let's get it.
As my pronouns are she, her, and
Ah, shit!
What's so cozy about doing chores when you're at the center of the universe? Skibbity J. Thirdwater will delve into cozy games and how they uphold values of colonialism in their mechanics and narratives. More than just being about vibes, cozy games project an idea of what is safe and rewarding for players and often promote values of capitalism. Oh no, capitalism, oh no! Sorry, let's get back to it. Often promote values of capitalism by rewarding individualism and consumption. Oh my god, how am I going to get through this? I mean, come on. First it was capitalism, now it's individual. Oh no, individualism. Whatever shall we do? Oh brother, I can't make it through this fucking video, I can't. I'm gonna need to take a break. Alright, we're back. What makes them satisfying for many people can also make things uncomfortable for marginalized people. Nah, it doesn't really, just stop being a retard, stop being a it's that simple, you know what I mean? Like, if basic game mechanics and progression systems that engage players with a satisfying loop make you uncomfortable, I don't know, just shut the fuck up and go read a book then or something. I mean, actually, never mind, a book might have offensive words in it. I don't know, go stare at a pride flag for 7 hours straight or something. Like, this shit here, fellas, this is that shit, you know what I mean? This is that annoying thing where nobody playing cozy games is having a problem with, nobody at all having anything at all of a problem, but in come these fucktards who have literally nothing to do with their lives, nothing fulfilling, no goals, no hobbies, no social lives, no nothing, trying to weasel their ways into a massive game genre to enact stupid changes that nobody wants under the guise of, oh, but marginalized people. Won't somebody please think of the marginalized people? Skibbity J Asswater told us that marginalized people don't like cozy games like this. Please somebody do something. Thereby opening the door to calling anyone who stands against it or doesn't follow these guidelines in the making of their own cozy games as bigoted, because oh look at the bigots. They put a currency system in their video game where they earn money by doing things and then they spend money to buy things. How could they not think of the poor marginalized people who have been harmed for years under the patriarchal boot of colonialism and capitalism? Oh, how could they do this to the poor marginalized people? Again, man, parasites. That's it. Let's continue. Actually, I lost track. Cozy games project an idea of what is safe and rewarding for players and often promote values of capitalism by rewarding individualism and consumption. What makes them satisfying for many can also make things uncomfortable for marginalized people. By exploring and questioning the definitions and values of cozy games and colonialism, we can make cozy games even cozier. Man, make these nuts cozy, you soy You see, because over time, when making these videos, I am usually a pretty understanding kind of guy. Okay, so right off the get-go, I have so much to say, but I'm gonna save it for a rant at the end. Let's go through some more crap from their presentation. Decolonization, often framed as an undoing of colonial influences and structures, is also a creative process of imagining what cultures would look like if not disrupted by the exploitation of colonialism. I love the language here. Disrupted and exploited. And yet these people live in countries formed by and benefiting from those very things. Not because they exploit anything, I mean, wake up, we're not in the 1600s anymore, but because they have a foundation in capitalism, which is the most proper system we have. Doesn't mean that it can't be improved, doesn't mean that it can't be abused either, of course it can. It simply means that it is the best one that we have. It's the one that got us where we are, but of course simultaneously also the one that would completely destroy these people and their video game development ambitions, given the fact that they don't want to make games, they want to push ideological garbage, which is not profitable. And they're so blatant about it too. I'm gonna unload all of that in the end, but for now, let's just get some more ammo and context. Decoloniality, the process or practice of rejecting Eurocentric ways of knowing and being. Funny how you motherfuckers want to reject Eurocentric ways of knowing and being, but you always want to come to and profit off of Eurocentric societies. Funny that! But anyway, the rest of this sentence is some retarded mumbo jumbo, so never mind. Now this next slide asks the question, colonialism in cozy games?
What are you, fucking stupid?
Where? And then it lists those things below. By the way, gotta love the name of the expo thing. Game Devs of Color Expo. Lovely. The more labels and identity filters the better. Gotta keep those white devs out of the way, after all, they're no good, am I right, fellas?
I have a team of 21 right now for Validate. It's a pretty big team. It's a crazy big team for indie games. But who is your team? Validate has a team of mostly mostly all people of color. We have no white people on our team.
So straight out of the gate, at the top of the list, we start off with some racist shit. So many white people. We already know we can't have those. One is already too many these days after all. The outside individual who saves the day. Please guys, please remember these little things for now. They paint a picture of their influence mindset for later. The land is there for the taking. Oh, I'm so sorry that in a video game that, for example, features farming, the land is there for the player to take. I'm so sorry that we didn't program an entire 30-hour storyline first of how colonialism is bad, and so we must not just take the land to plant some corn and wheat. After all, it does not belong to us. We can't just have players take a plot of land. It's not that simple. What about all the insensitivities that presents? What about all of the wrong coloniality messages that it puts in the heads of the people who play these games, where they think that you just can take something? That's just crazy, fellas. We gotta be more sensitive than that. We gotta be more considerate of cultures and whatever. Oh, brother. Corn and wheat to make the number go up. I assume over here they're referring to basic economy systems in these video games where obviously part of your progression is to plant stuff and then harvest it, allowing you to plant even more stuff, make money with it, buy plot expansions, buy upgrades, buy nifty little things to decorate your home and farm, so on and so forth. Make no mistake, this is a problem for these lobotomites because to them, the concept of earning shit is bad. The concept of drawing satisfaction from these mechanics and gameplay loops is bad because it's either instilling or it's based on capitalism and by extension colonialism. The line at the previous thing that we read, oh, what's so cozy about chores? You know, of course. I mean, these people, if they could, they would just sit on their ass all day and browsing TikToks, getting mad on Twitter, and then have a guy bringing them money and saying, I'm so sorry, these are your reparations for the month. Hello, sir. I mean, madam. They, them. Here is your monthly share of Elon Musk's paycheck, which you have earned fairly because, of course, capitalism bad and communism good. These motherfuckers wouldn't even be okay with farming their own food. That's how brain rotten these people are. Reality is, nobody is thinking about this shit. Like, let's take aside the politics. Nobody is thinking about this crap. We're just playing the games and enjoying ourselves. Nobody's sitting there going, this system is a little bit too capitalistic for me to be able to enjoy this video game. You need some kind of hook to engage players with these kinds of systems. These retards want to ruin that because, nuh-uh, it's bad, it looks like capitalism, and so this is what people have had to put up with for years in the AAA space. And now, they're going to have to put up with it here. People who don't play these games, don't enjoy these games, wanting to come in from the outside and change them based on utterly stupid shit. And it gets worse too. Nuclear family, 2-gen family. So basically the basic nuclear family structure where you walk around and see a couple with a kid or two, or where you can romance a character and maybe have a kid or two as well, depending on the game. This is also bad because, of course, everything that is normal in society is bad, because Eurocentric, bad, capitalism, bad, colonialism, bad, traditional stuff, bad, fucking everything's bad. What's good? I don't know. 157 genders, polyamorous relationships with like 36 people, basically the entire village having orgies, no age discrepancy either, because of course age is also a patriarchal Eurocentric social construct and it must be abolished. And you know, instead of farming things to get points and then spending those points on things, you just stand in the same place staring at a wall and you get points automatically. Oh brother, I don't know if I can make this video, guys. Please share, subscribe, you know, like it, please. I'm in pain. I'm in pain! Monochronic structures, 4 seasons, a Gregorian calendar. I swear, man, I'm serious. I don't think I'm gonna make it through this entire video, guys. They literally have beef with the calendar. The fucking calendar! This entire thing is so much more than calendars, of course. This whole thing is about time structure. Monochronic structures basically refer to how we perceive time and organize ourselves. You know, basically we got 24 hours in a day, and we usually go to work for 8 hours. We got set times to have breakfast, lunch, dinner. We have our own little routines and tasks. Some may vary it, but for the most part, we are all doing the same kind of structure. That kind of thing. The calendar is just, well, our calendar structure, and our 4 seasons is basically this concept at a grand scale level of a year passing and having its seasons, which is usually also present in these games to perceive the passage of time, with some of them also changing things mechanically, like in the winter you can't plant certain things that you can plant in the summer, so on and so forth. Somehow, these people have beef with that shit because, again, Eurocentrism. How obsessed with the downfall of Western society do you have to be to have beef with time? How did they even schedule this fucking thing, you know, this talk, this presentation? Like, can you imagine being in the room with them?
So I think that we should set it for 5 p.m. Central Eastern. Are you saying that? Are you trying to tell me what time I should host my presentation here? Because I don't adhere to the monochronic time structure, and I think that it's actually quite white coded and colonialized. And I think that we should be hosting it at a random time. Well, we can't host it at a random time. We need to set the time for the people who are coming to watch. You know, they have to have a time. Time is racist, and I refuse to play your game and come in here and present this at whatever time that you want me to play it. You don't understand. This is literal racism. This is patriarchy. This is Eurocentrist white supremacy. And I, Skibbity J Asswater, am not going to play this game.
Oh my god, and it's not just that either. This actually takes me back to something that popped up on the internet some time ago, where some woke moron made the claim that time itself was racist. Yes, fellas, time. It was so ridiculous that it went pretty viral and a lot of people made fun of it, so I think I can find it and put it here in this video so you guys can have a look at what the hell I'm talking about.
But this long-standing joke about our perpetual lateness to church, to cookouts, to family events, and even to our own funerals remains. I personally am a stickler for time. It's almost as if my mother, when I was growing up, said, "We will not be those black people." So we typically arrive to events 30 minutes early. But today, I want to talk to you more about the political nature of time. For if time had a race, it would be white. White people own time.
And all of this here reeks of that same thing, because of course, why wouldn't it? Why would we expect anything better from these complete morons? They gather in these rooms to do these presentations and are basically sharing one single brain cell between them. Conveniently ancient civilizations. I have actually no idea what this is, I have no idea what the problem is, so I'm moving on. Spirituality is silly. Ah yes, of course, spirituality is also bad, because of course it is. And lastly, straight up racism. What? How? Where? Are you serious? Cozy games are so soft, dude. It's the most progressive coded genre there is. There are no difficult games, there are no edgy jokes, there are no horror games, there is no graphic violence. Most of it all is just flowery shit all over the place. You guys can go ahead and pause this next slide and read it for yourselves. It's just a bunch of garbage on how to decolonize cozy games. It's a bunch of bullshit. I have no idea who they are making this for. At the first thing, it says the audience we're trying to reach. Like, brother, just quit. You have no audience. You can't even implement this garbage in the cozy genre. Nobody wants it. Nobody wants you. It's actually incredible to see the level at which they stoop to, because they are a shoo-in for this, you know, I want to say genre, but it's not really a genre, it's more of a space with several genres within it. The stuff that they've been pushing in the AAA space, people in the cozy space would be super affable to it. They would be open to all of it. It's stuff that largely fits into some of these games. And yet they can't even just come in here and just make some of these games and put some of these themes in them and do whatever. Like, no, they have to dial up the activism to 11,000 and with the games. You want to play lemon cake, you know, and set up a little bakery where you bake things and you sell to the customers and then you just progress through that? Well, no, you can't, because that's capitalism. You want to play one of the thousands of farming games out there trying to, you know, copy and paste Stardew Valley? Well, you can't, because that's colonialism now. I am amazed. But lastly, to close this off, because I'm feeling sick of looking at this garbage, let's see the games that they recommend people check out. Oh, look at that! Tales of the Shire, the latest sweet baby piss flop that nobody wants to play because it was not only an affront to Tolkien, but also a dogshit game. So basically, yeah guys, there you go. If you're interested in revolutionizing the cozy genre to destroy it, you can follow these steps or play Gumbo's favorite game there, Tales of the Shire, to learn how to make your own flops your own way. Alright, let's get real here because this is funny, but it's also serious. These people are literally bitching about economy systems in these games like farming, earning, and selling. They aren't even trying to hide just how brain-broken they are by Marxism ideologies, and how desperate they are to overtly push that shit out through the games. I've already spoken about this before, they've been doing this for years. GDC, the Game Developers Conference, has been a breeding ground for it, where they host panels like these packed with this kind of bile to influence others in the industry to follow along and do the same. And some of you listening and thinking, what does it matter, a few woke retards won't make a difference. You're coping hard, because clearly it has made a difference, whether through narrative consultants forcing their way in, or through opening up department positions in the studios who do this in-house. It has worked, and now many studios are packed with these kinds of activists, worming their way up the food chain little by little. Now, what can we do about this? Well, the number one thing is we can be open about it, be aware of what's going on, acknowledge how deep the rabbit hole goes, and realize that it's not going to go away on its own. Spread awareness of it and don't be shamed into silence. Show receipts to shut up any of the naysayers out there who love using their clout and masses of followers to make you look like an idiot who believes in some kind of non-existent boogeyman. This is real, it's obvious, and it's out in the open, as much as they would like to pretend that it's not. So that's number one. Number two is be deliberate with what you support. Spread awareness, be objective, and don't give them your money. They have deep pockets, it's not going to happen overnight, but eventually they're going to crack. Gamescom this year already came out and admitted that they want more politics in games because gaming is a very influential medium, given how much time young people spend playing them. This is the goal, rewiring young people's minds through ideological sludge pumped into the video games. They want to push their agendas so badly that they are willing to go and basic in-game systems that provide the core experience, challenge, and satisfaction to their players via progression and other metrics that measure success, because to them this is based on what they classify as capitalism, and capitalism is the foundation of Western societies. They want to rewire the way we perceive satisfaction in these games because the very concept of earning shit is toxic to them. The idea of being a productive member of a society and producing something to earn money in return and spend it on things we need that others are producing is bad. Back to that second slide, the practice of rejecting Eurocentric ways of knowing and being in favor of what? Doing nothing and expecting to be given everything? I guess that tracks. I mean, it is the way of Sweet Baby Inc. They never had to make a good product because they never had to sell a single copy of anything. They're funded externally, and they make their money from consultations regardless of how the game ends up. In fact, many projects that were worked on by them flopped on their ass. Pretty much all of them except the ones that were tied to major companies and franchises in AAA such as God of War. One of the smaller ones even ended up having to shut down. I think it was the ones who worked on Unknown 9 Awakening, I think that's the name of the game. Came out last year. It was terrible, nobody cared about it, nobody played it, and then the studio got in trouble. Do you think Sweet Baby Inc. felt any of that? Of course not, they already had their money and they moved on. They're in an incredibly privileged position where they don't have to rely on their success, they don't have to rely on the quality of their work, they are paid to work with gaming, and that's it. One more time, fellas, just so that we have everything framed in sight so that we can all see just how ridiculous this is. Looking at a basic economy and time structure system in a farming video game or any other kind of game where you do tasks, keep track of your tasks in a traditional way that makes sense to us all, and then earning something from those tasks and spending that on upgrades to increase efficiency and customize yourself and your stuff in a way that makes you happy and accomplished, to take all of this and making it about capitalism and colonialization or colonization, whatever the word is. My brain doesn't even work anymore today. All of this is literally mouth breather shit. They're so incredibly insufferable that they're about to shit all over the only gaming genre where you'd think that they would be welcome in, but of course they aren't, because they're never welcome anywhere. And this is because they hate making themselves feel welcome. In fact, they don't want to be welcomed. They want to barge in. They don't want inclusivity. It was never about that. They just want to take your shit, impose their values, and then use their status in the industry and their narratives to enforce it under the clause that if you don't embrace it, you are a piece of shit. They always want to be the ones showing up, taking something, twisting it, mangling it, beating it up to the point where it's unrecognizable, and then, once it's been tainted by their insufferable ideology, then yes, they'll leave you, your franchises, and your hobby alone, welcoming you to enjoy the new and revolutionized dog shit that they standardized. If you like it, great, happiness and medals all around. If you don't, who cares? You're just a bigot attacking a poor, innocent, sweet little narrative consultant that never did anything wrong, and your words don't really matter either because they already got their money from the studios that wasted their money hiring them to consult, and from corrupt far-left government shithole programs, initiatives, and grants. And please, forget about the money for a second and keep in mind how this also needlessly politicizes an entire genre. Take note of how none of these concepts have ever been political. Like, are you fucking kidding me? Politics in planting some goddamn carrots and then selling them to Joey, the grocery store owner? Get the fuck out of here. However, with these activists worming their ways in, they end up politicizing everything. They poison everything, man. And then disingenuous jackasses like those aforementioned content creators like to come out and say that we're the ones politicizing the medium. This is a direct quote from the Man last year. I'll try to find it and slap it on the screen here. It couldn't be further from the truth. And the thing is, for me, and I expect a lot of you in the equivalent of this stuff in the AAA space, all I wanted was to be allowed to peacefully keep farming carrots and corn, selling it to the grocer, making some money, expanding my house, buying some decorations, romancing the best character, and giving her a nice gift from my hard-working profits. And then get about 8 hours of sleep afterwards to rinse and repeat the process the next day. Yet now, all of these elements are tainted by a political lens that these people bring to the gaming space all on their own and with huge backing and loud voices behind them. Loud voices which content creators like us at least do our best to thwart, expose, and mock to keep them as irrelevant and powerless as possible. But without that, we'd just be where we were the past few years, where our hobby is having completely unnecessary and totally normal parts of it politicized by complete morons who are here to push an agenda and nothing more. And I'm just sick and tired of it. And more so sick and tired of soy boys online trying to shame and insult channels like these for talking about the neon glowing elephant in the damn room. I don't care whether you're left or right, woman or man, gay or straight, yellow, blue, green, purple, whatever. I don't care. I think this is bad for all of us. The games industry being co-opted by either political side or either type of source is not a good thing. It's a bad one. Games shouldn't be used to influence people. They should just be goddamn games. Are you kidding me? And we should just be acknowledging this and fighting against it if we're gamers, because that's what matters, instead of playing fucking partisan cringe. In closing, if you're interested in more on this topic, I suggest you guys check out this video from Scouter V. He's a fantastic content creator who took Stardew Valley and explained how based that game is, and how it's actually wrongfully mistaken as a cozy game, or in a way, it's a game that despite being taken as something in the cozy genre, is actually so much more than that. And why is it that so many activists in the games industry hate it? And why so many modern audience losers try to co-opt it against the solo developers' best interests and intent. And it actually tackles a lot of these things that we went over in this video. Things I hadn't even considered at the time, but that hit the nail right in the head when you see the politicized nature of it, what these people basically bring to the table, or rather, what they force into the matter. Because of course, farming in Stardew Valley doesn't have anything offensive about it, man, are you kidding me? But they see it as that, because they hate everything that is quote-unquote normal. They hate that people derive pleasure and satisfaction from undertaking and completing tasks. They hate this core foundation of so many games so damn much, and it explains so many of the flaws in the games and characters that they write, where their characters are never given any room to grow, where the things that you do in their games are so deeply uninteresting, and why the sections that they influence in big major AAA games are so cringe, like for example in Spider-Man 2, that whole Haley section where you're covering up graffiti on the walls of some buildings in a Spider-Man video game, and then you get to the top of a building and you recruit the activist who was graffitiing garbage on the fucking walls to begin with. It is so antithetical to what actual gamers want to play in these games. It's insane, dude. And it's because when it comes to the core foundations of their character, of their morals, of what moves them, of what interests them, what satisfies them, what gives them joy, etc., it is a completely unrelatable and foreign concept to the vast majority of normal people on the damn planet. And it fucks me up to see so many of these high-level institutions around the games industry and outside of it using their power and influence to try and rewire the way that young people think by essentially invading the games industry and changing the content in it, sometimes in less blatant ways and other times in ways so ridiculously out in the open that, I mean, what can I even say here? It's jaw-dropping, like that Take Us North game shown at Gamescom last month. It's our job to be objective and call it out whenever we see it. But anyway, again, don't forget Gothic Therapy for detective deep dives on this stuff with Sweet Baby Inc. Link to their channel will be in the description, and Scouter V's fantastic video on Stardew Valley. I'll also leave a link to his channel and to the video in the description. With that, I'm done here. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, liking it or leaving a comment is immensely helpful. And hey, subscribe if you're new for more videos like this and much more. Thanks again, and I'll see you on the next one. Take care, fellas.